Greetings, everybody, and welcome back to episode 20 of Extreme Evocast, an all-purpose Pokemon podcast where we talk about news, trivia, and everything related to Pokemon. Let me just say thank you so much for 20 episodes. I know that's not really a milestone because it's something that I'm doing, and realistically, we're kind of at like 22, 23, but because of the half episodes. But episode 20, 1/5 of 100. It's a small milestone, I know, which is why I'm not making a huge deal out of it, but it's still very nice to think about. And to think about that, I've almost been doing this entire thing for a year. It'll be like, I think 3 episodes from now, episode 23, where it'll have been for an entire year because there were 2 half episodes, and episode 23 will be, so the 25th episode will be 1 year of Evocast, and I'm going to do something special, most likely, for that. But thank you so much for my listeners, or to my listeners, for supporting me through 20 episodes so far. 22 realistically, but it's episode 20, so I thought I'd do it now. Today is going to be a little bit of a shorter episode, I imagine, just for preparation. I'm not 100% sure. It is very late where I am, and I don't really want to stay up super late. And I apologize for if I kind of just threw everything together. I'm not really sure if I mentioned this last week, but finals is right now, or was right now. I am completely done with my finals as I am making this episode, which is, let me tell you, a relief. I have been struggling and working really hard. Lots of all-nighters. Lots and lots of all-nighters. Working to finish these finals. I've done animations. I've done a film. I had to study for tests and, lots of different stuff to do. But it's over. It's finally over. And I am going home from college later this afternoon as I record this episode at 5 o'clock in the morning. Don't judge me. I have been working hard. And I really, really wanted to upload this episode on time. So it is Wednesday at 5 in the morning. Don't worry about me. I'm okay. I'm going on break immediately after tonight. Actually, I'm literally going home tonight after I finish my last class, which is in like 6 hours. I have a final to do. I don't know why I'm talking about my life story right now, but I will be on break. Tonight I will get good sleep. I will be fine. I have no work. I'm going to play Sword and Shield and just enjoy myself. But for the meantime, we are going to discuss Pokemon Sword and Shield, speaking of, and today is going to be the second day of my review, of my 3-part review. The third part will be on Christmas Day, which is very exciting. But this is the second part where I'm going to be talking about the gameplay and the story. And tomorrow, episode 3 will be my final thoughts, my final opinions, and also will be about the post game and the battle tower, which I know is a really, really big part of the game, and mostly because I haven't finished it yet. There's a few things that I haven't gotten to, and a few things that I really, really want to talk about on the 3rd episode that I just haven't had time to do. Like, I know I'm talking about gameplay today, but I'm not going to be talking about like max raid battles or anything like that, because I have only gotten as far to get to like tier 3, and I've only done like 1 tier 5, and I really want to like experience it first before I really talk about my opinions about doing a lot of max raid battles. So I'm not going to be talking about it today, but I will be talking about quite a lot. And if you haven't realized it already, this is a spoiler warning. I am going to be talking about Pokemon Sword and Shield today. So if you haven't had a chance to pick it up yet, if you haven't had a chance to really dive into it just yet, don't listen to today's episode. If you want to experience it for yourself, please just go play the game, or wait to listen to this episode before or after you play the game, because I'm going to be talking about the core mechanics and my experiences with them in this game, or in this episode. So please, that was your warning to switch off now if you haven't had a chance to play the game yet. Anyway, before we jump into that, I said last time that I am going to be going over a little bit of news. for this episode. We have a little bit of December news. This is, of course, on coming from Cerebi. I didn't have a chance to talk about the November news, but I don't really think that there's much that's super interesting. It's mostly just kind of Pokemon Sword and Shield came out, hooray, and some and some stuff. Yeah, I'm looking through right now. There's really not that much, so it's not that big of a deal. First off, there is a Eevee Funko Pop coming soon. Funko has announced its next line of Pop vinyl figures. The next Pokemon-related figure is an Eevee and is due for release in North America soon. At present, no further details have been announced. Well, that is just dandy. Yeah, I have a Bulbasaur one. I've been meaning to pick up the Pikachu one. I haven't had a chance yet. I really like the Bulbasaur one. I'm not really a big fan of Funko Pops. I think every time I talk about Funko Pops, I'm always like, I'm not a big fan, but I have like 14 of them. Just because, some of them I think are cute. The rest of them I think are scary, and I don't like them. But anyway, on the news, I'm sorry, I'm scrolling through, looking for something to talk about. Look, I have my notes, but looking for something specifically. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so Pokken Tournament is getting a official tournament, the championship. From Nintendo or from Game Freak, I guess. It is the it's being so there's a lot of different places. There's in Australia, there's the Oceania International Championships. In Europe, it's being held in Berlin, Germany, and in North America, it's being held in, it does not say. And last chance qualifier Pokemon World Championships is in London, England. The grand prize is for the Masters division. The grand prize is $1,250. For the senior division, the grand prize is a Nintendo Switch console and 72 Pokemon trading card game packs. God damn. For first place for the Pokemon World Championships is $6,000. And for the senior division, it is $3,000 on a Pokemon Visa prepaid card. I don't know what that means, but hey. So if you're into Poké Tournament and are really, really good, get your tickets. I suppose if you want to try your place your bets. Try your hand. Next on the list is there's a lot of Pokemon Go stuff. We're gonna save the Pokemon Go stuff for later. For right after this one, which is Gigantamax Snorlax was released. Gigantamax Snorlax. There's also Gigantamax Snorlax will be available in max raid battles, or it was available. Ugh. Yikes. Yeah, apparently it is done already. It was a week ago. So my apologies. I didn't know that. I regret not looking at that and knowing about that. I should have gotten myself a Gigantamax Snorlax, but I'm sure I can get one from somebody if I really need it. That's unfortunate. So yeah, Gigantamax Snorlax max raid battles are not available anymore, unfortunately. But yeah, Gigantamax Snorlax was officially released, and its new move, Gmax Replenish, restores a used berry for both and its partner. I don't know what its partner means, but probably for Pokemon in max raid battles. Okay, that's interesting. So yeah, it replenishes used up berries, which is pretty good, especially on Snorlax, who make good use of berries. Anyway, next in the news is all the Pokemon Go stuff, and the biggest Pokemon Go stuff is the Community Day that is happening soon. The big 2019 wrap-up Community Day. Niantic has announced the next Pokemon Go Community Day on December 14th and 15th. It will feature the return of Pokemon from all Community Days in 2019. They spawn all weekend for 3 hours each day. On Saturday, Totodile, Swinub, Trico, Torchic, Slakoth, and Bagon. And on Sunday, Mudkip, Ralts, Trapinch, Turtwig, and Chimchar. The event will have 2 times capture experience, 2 times capture Stardust, and half egg distance, as well as 3 hour lure modules. It'll also bring raids for all the 2018 raid Pokemon from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. local time each day. Saturday, Pokemon appearing in raids will be Bulbasaur, Charmander, Squirtle, Pikachu, Eevee, Dratini, Chikorita, Cyndaquil, Mareep, Larvitar, and Beldum. And most of the same are going to be from eggs. Bulbasaur, Charmander, Pikachu, Dratini, no Eevee, Totodile, Mareep, Swinub, Larvitar, Trico, Torchic, Slykoth, and Bagon. And on Sunday, Pokemon appearing in raids, Bulbasaur, Charmander, Squirtle, Pikachu, Eevee, Dratini, Chikorita, Cyndaquil, Mareep, Larvitar, and Beldum, and those are all the same. And Pokemon available to hatch from eggs, Squirtle, Eevee, Chikorita, Cyndaquil, Mudkip, Ralts, Trapinch, Beldum, Turtwig, and Chimchar. All the ones that were not named in the first one. Okay, that was a lot of listing. But the Community Day runs from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. In each local time zone on each day. So that is very exciting. So it's a 2-day Community Day, much like the one that we had last time. And I'm very, very excited about this one. We got so many Pokemon to catch. So many Pokemon that I missed out on that I'm hopefully gonna get if I have the opportunity to. I'm very, very excited about this Community Day. And of course, I will do a Reviewity Day next time, probably on Christmas. If I even have the chance to do it. I'm going home before the Community Day happens, and you know how I feel about me going home when playing Pokemon Go, because I live in gosh darn nowhere, the middle of gosh darn nowhere. Sorry, not just nowhere, the middle of nowhere. So I have no possible chance of catching any Pokemon, but I will go out maybe to town during the weekend and catch some good Pokemon, because I really, really need these Pokemon. And I hope that anyone who's listening to this now and it hasn't happened yet has a good time going to catch some Pokemon. And I wish you luck with your shinies. Also, all of the Pokemon will be available as shiny. I think I failed to mention that. Just like every other Community Day, they will be able to be shiny. Ooh, excuse me. All right. So, last minute spoiler warnings. If you haven't left yet, please leave. If you have, just leave. Just don't listen to the podcast anymore. No, I'm kidding. Please stay. If you haven't played Pokemon Sword and Shield yet, please go away. Just scram. Get out of here. Listen. Come back later. But if you have, that now that everyone else the degenerates who haven't been able to play the game yet. No, I'm kidding, of course. But for the people who are continuing to listening, let's get started on review number 2, day number 2. So the game mechanics. First of all, I want to talk about the art and the look of the game. A lot of people were obviously giving the game backlash when it first came out because of how it looked like it didn't belong on the Switch and how it was horrible and the art and stuff. I think now, after playing this game almost twice of the way through, it looks amazing. You'll hear if you watch my streams, watching me play my Nuzlocke, and if you watching me play it, you'll hear me say over and over again how beautiful this game is. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. I think that the landscapes are beautiful. The textures and the art are gorgeous. The lighting, everything, it looks so good. The characters look really good. The models look really, really good. The updated Pokemon models look gorgeous. Not remodeled, but updated to the Switch. The big black hefty outlines are gone. The pixelated look on the 3DS, they're gone. It looks amazing. And just wow. I love the look of the game. I hope that every Pokemon game looks like this. If you compare Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Sword and Shield, you can see the difference. And if you compare Sun and Moon with Sword and Shield, you can definitely see the difference. It is beautiful. Screw everyone who talks about how this game doesn't look good or doesn't look as good to be on the Switch. I don't care if it looks as good as it should. It still looks amazing. But yeah, I mean, seriously, no complaints there. I think the game looks beautiful. I think the battles look beautiful. The backgrounds, the characters, everything looks so good. Moving on, the game mechanics specifically. I want to talk about The changes that they made from Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. Of course, Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee were more spin-off games, so I didn't expect them to do anything like that. Obviously, the Pokemon Go-esque catching system is gone. If you haven't had a chance to play the game or have not seen a single bit of footage of the game yet, that is gone, thankfully. Not that I didn't like it, I was just hoping that they wouldn't bring it in the main series games. But Pokemon appear in the grass, which is a great and very welcome change. Pokemon appear walking around in the grass, and they also can be encountered normally in the grass. There's like exclamation points that walk around, sort of appear in the grass, and if you walk near them, they will attack you. So you don't necessarily have to just dodge Pokemon anymore, because you can run into Pokemon just wild in the grass. And a lot of people are saying that the reason why, I heard people say complaints about how this game is really short, Sword and Shield, how it could be beaten in a few hours. I think it took me, then again, I was doing my Nuzlocke. It took me, I think, like 23 hours, maybe a little bit less than that, to beat it. Then again, I was doing a Nuzlocke, so I was being very careful, very slowly. It was also my first time through, if that says anything. So first time through, if you're doing a Nuzlocke, it took me, a veteran, like 20, 22, 23 hours, something like that. So it's not necessarily a super short game, but it is on the shorter side compared to a lot of other Pokemon games, at least for the first time. And I think the reason for that is because of encounters. I think that the less amount of encounters really, really cuts down on the game time, and I think that's a good thing. I think that if we were to do the same thing in every other Pokemon game, I think that it would also cut down the time. It's also because of the permanent EXP share effect, which was not a thing until this game. The EXP share in X and Y became a mechanic where every single Pokemon in the party gets EXP, and then in Sun and Moon they kept that, and then same with Oras, and then in Sword and Shield it becomes permanent. You can't turn it off. Every Pokemon in your party gets EXP no matter what, unless it's fainted, which also contributes to the length and also the difficulty of the game, which a lot of people are saying that it's very easy. I think that it was pretty easy. I think that it was easy. I mean, so far it's been easy. For my Nuzlocke, the Nuzlocke was pretty hard. We lost quite a lot of Pokemon. I lost quite a bit of Pokemon in the Nuzlocke. But that's just because it's a Nuzlocke. Nuzlocks are always pretty unforgiving. But this one was very, 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 very hard, I think, in my opinion. Not as hard as other games. I think it, like, to give a gauge for people who have done Nuzlocks before, it was about as difficult as an X and Y Nuzlocke. X and Y was a very easy game, but Nuzlocke-wise, it was very hard, I think, in my opinion, when I did a Nuzlocke. I almost lost that one quite a lot, and I think it was on the same realm. We finished the game with a lot of Pokemon. We finished the game with a lot of Pokemon that I could have caught in the wild area, but I just didn't because I didn't need them. So it was definitely on the easier side. I recommend doing a Nuzlocke. I think it makes the game really fun, especially if you've never played the game before, but that's just me. I was looking for something entertaining and fun to stream. But if you want to do a Nuzlocke, I would say try. It's fun. It's very, very fun. I recommend it. But if you're just getting the game and you want to just enjoy the game for yourself, it's not too hard. It's pretty darn easy. I'm playing through on my own time, and my Pokemon are like level 50 by they're like 5 levels lower than the final battle at like the 7th gym. So like I am certainly overpowered right now. Granted, I'm overpowered because I've been catching every Pokemon, and even taking a lot of time out of my taking a lot of time out of it to go and catch Pokemon that I haven't gotten in my Pokedex yet. And catching Pokemon gives you XP, so it certainly is a little bit I'm a little biased saying that it's easy because one, I did a Nuzlocke of it, and that really skewed my expectations. And then when I went into it on my own time, I'm just like really overpowered. But so don't take my word for it. Take everything that I say with a grain of salt because of those weird things that I've been doing. But honestly, it's really not that bad. It's it's not too hard. It's not too easy. I think it's a pretty good mix. A few other things before we get into the story. The wild Pokemon scaling is very odd, in my opinion. A lot of the I don't remember if this was the case in other games. I don't think it is because it caught me off guard, and it felt like something that has never happened before, and it really felt very unnatural to me. Was that a lot of the Pokemon in the wild were like sometimes 5 or 6 levels higher than the trainer battles in the area, and I feel like the trainers should normally be higher than the route that the wild Pokemon are on. Like, for example, on Route 7, or Route 8, I mean. On Route 8, it's like in the ice area at the very end, you could find a wild Snom at like level 49, and then the trainer that you fight right next to it is like level 42. So like that doesn't really make a lot of sense, and that was really hard for a Nuzlocke because a lot of the times you would go into a route and the Pokemon would be 6 or 7 levels higher than than like some of your lower Pokemon, and it was terrifying. That's how we lost a few Pokemon, or I lost a few Pokemon, and it was really, really hard in that sense. So watch out for that. That's one thing that I just saw as really odd to me. The fact that some of the Pokemon, like the Pokemon in the wild, just really, really scaled up. And this wasn't even talking about the Pokemon in the wild area, which I'll talk about in just a moment, but like, oh my lord, it's like even in the Pokemon and the roots of the main story are just like beefed up every time you get to a new area, and it's very surprising, and it's almost, I kind of like it because it adds a little bit of challenge to an otherwise pretty easy game. I think that the wild Pokemon are sometimes harder than the trainers, also mostly because I don't know if I'm just unlucky or the Pokemon in this game have insanely high catch rates. I have been struggling so much to catch Pokemon in this game. Every Pokemon that I go up against takes like 5 or 6 balls, even at like low health. When I was trying to catch a Cramorant for my Pokedex the other day, it took me like 30 Ultra Balls, and it was paralyzed, and it was at red health, and it still would not get in the ball. A Cramorant. Like, just a bird. It's not like a pseudo legendary or like a super high level strong Pokemon. It was like level 45. And I don't know if I'm just unlucky, but that Cramorant was the death of me. It ate like 30 of my balls before I caught it, and I was so mad at this stupid Cramorant. But like, and a lot of the Pokemon seem to have this this mechanic, or just this catch rate where it's like, even at the lowest possible chance, the catch rate is still so low. And I don't know if I'm just unlucky or if that's actually something that they did. They scaled the catch rates differently. They changed the rates in which Ultra Balls or the Pokeballs in general catch Pokemon. But like, god damn, excuse my French, like, wow, some of these Pokemon just take a long time to catch, and when you're trying to collect the Pokedex, it's a blessing and a curse. It gives a little bit of fun and challenge to it, but it can just take so long sometimes. And last but not least, before we get into the story and we get into our first segment of the episode, or our only segment of the episode, I'm going to talk about the wild area a little bit. Like I said, I'm going to talk about the raid battles after the fact in next episode. But right now I'm going to talk about the wild area. I think the wild area is really cool, and I think that it's a beautiful addition to the game. I love the wild area. I think that it's such a fun place to explore and find stuff in, and the fact that you can even see other trainers in the wild area is so cool. It's like a big hub, and I think it really, really works for what they're trying to accomplish with it. Just like a big area where you can just like catch random Pokemon. There's a bunch of different weather, there's a bunch of different Pokemon, there's trainers you can battle or trainers you can talk to and get ingredients for the curry decks. There's the max raid battles. There's items. It's very fun, and I really, really, really enjoy the wild area. I don't really have any complaints with it, other than I think maybe there should be a little bit more Pokemon variety. At least in certain areas. Some areas are fine. Specifically, the first area seems like I never really ever go back to like the rolling hills or like anything like that, or like even like that whole area, like the Motostoke part of the wild area, just because like I know it's the first area, but it sometimes seems like no matter what the weather is, it's always the same Pokemon. And I wish that the weather would change what Pokemon are there, at least just a little bit more. Later in the wild area, it's a little bit better, but I think that a lot more Pokemon should be able to be found in the wild area. Maybe they like unlock as you go, like the strong Pokemon in the wild area. It just seems like, I know that this is saying something, because you can say this for like pretty much every route in the game. But like it seems like once I've caught all the Pokemon in the area, and that takes like 2 minutes, it like I never go back. And like a lot of the times when I go to a certain area of the wild area and catch 3 Pokemon, I've caught 50% of the Pokemon that I can find in the entire wild area. It's like, that's obviously an exaggeration. I catch 4 Pokemon in one area, and I've already caught 75% of every other area's Pokemon. It's just I have to wait for like it to snow so I can catch a snow run instead of like a million Stuffle. And that's obviously a petty complaint, but I think that the wild area should have a little bit of quote unquote replayability. I know that's a weird word to use in this situation, but replayability in the sense that it's more so you can go back and expect something different every time. Maybe not after, maybe instead of going back for the 5th time and not finding anything different, maybe like once you've gone to the wild area the 30th time, then you should start just seeing the same thing over and over again. It just seems like I go to the wild area 2 or 3 times, certain areas of the wild area, and there's no reason to go there anymore. Does that make sense? But other than that, I think the wild area is a beautiful addition to the game, and I think that I'm very, very happy with how they've done it. And I hope that they add more things to it in the next installment, or just keep it as it is, because I would not imagine a Pokemon game with every single Pokemon in it, all, 900 Pokemon, more than 900 Pokemon at this point. Imagine a wild area twice the size with, 70% of the Pokedex of the entire bunch of Pokemon in that wild area, with variety, with different weather, maybe like different factors with the weather. That would be insane. The amount of like quote unquote replayability, pseudo replayability that you could have in the wild area would be phenomenally big. And I am so down for something like that. I know that's a lot to ask for, but like it would take up hours of my time just going around looking for different Pokemon, trying to complete the Pokedex. And I think that that's what it should be, and that's what they were going for. It just fell a little bit short in that sense. Anyway, taking a break from Pokemon Sword and Shield, we are going to talk briefly about our first and only segment of this episode. I'm sorry, Move Tutor. Move Tutor's taking the bench right now. Move Tutor is not going to be happening probably until the episode after next one. I just don't have time for it. But we are going to do Random Pokemon of the Week, everybody's favorite segment where we talk about a random Pokemon every episode. And this episode's Pokemon is number 523, the electric type Pokemon introduced in Generation 5, Zebstrika. Am I wrong to think that we talked about Blitzel before? I don't think we talked about Blitzel before, but I feel like I've talked about Blitzel before. Anyway, Zebstrika is the Thunderbolt Pokemon. It evolves from Blitzel starting at level 27. It is a pure electric type Pokemon. It has Lightning Rod or Motor Drive or Sap Sipper as its hidden ability. When hit by a grass type move, its attack is what? Why is Zebstrika's signature or hidden ability Sap Sipper? It's interesting. There must be a reason for it, but it doesn't seem very useful. It just seems very niche and very like out of place on Zebstrika. Lightning Rod and Motor Drive I can understand, but Sap Zipper? Anyway, Zebstrika's gender ratio is 50-50. Catch rate is 75. Its height is 5'3", shorter than I am. 1.6 meters. I mean, it's a horse, or it's a zebra. Sorry. It's small for a zebra. Shorter than I am. Interesting. 175.3 pounds, or 79.5 kilograms. Of course, Zebstrika is the signature Pokemon of Elisa, the Gen 5 Electric type gym. Her infamous Zebstrika. Oof. That gym in general caused me so much pain, especially with it was mostly because of those Emolgas, but oh my lord, like, oof, god. Anyway, yeah, if you've played Gen 5, you probably know my pain. But Zebstrika has always been a really cool Pokemon to me because, like, it's just an electric zebra. It's like a lot of Pokemon are very, very interesting in design and are based on a lot of things. Zebstrika is just an electric zebra, and like that's so funny because like it's a design that works so well and is so unique when its design or when its concept is so to be expected. It's just an electric zebra, but like it's awesome. It's got an awesome design. It's got a really, really cool concept. I like it a lot. It's very, very cool. It's one of my favorite electric type Pokemon. I remember using one of my first Generation 5 team. Oh, those are the days. If you could see me right now, I'm wiping a non-existent tear from my cheek, reminiscing on the good old days of using a Zebstrika in my Generation 5 team. But Zebstrika shares its category with Electivire. They are both known as the Thunderbolt Pokemon. It is one of the few Pokemon whose species name in English is the same as the name of a move. Wow. And Zebstrika is the only Pokemon with a base stat total of 497. Very, very cool. Zebstrika appears to be based on a zebra. No kidding. It may be also be based on two of Helios' steeds that pulled his chariot, Bronte and Sterope, which are Greek for thunder and lightning. The Zebstrika's species in Japanese can be translated as the Thunder and Lightning Pokemon. Wow. That's kind of cool. Zebstrika's shiny to me is one of those shinies that I feel like should be its base coloring with the blue. The blue, I mean, I guess zebras are black and white. I can't really say that, can I? Because zebras are black and white, and like that's their whole thing, being known for being black and white. So you know what? Don't mind me. I just think that Zebstrika shiny is cooler than its base form. I think more so in Gen 5 than in Gen 6 and 7 and 8, I suppose. Even though Zebstrika is not in Sword and Shield RIP. But like, because in Gen 5, the blue tint that it had sort of made it look like it was like it like glowed, it's like it didn't just look like they hued it with blue. It looks like it was like it actually had like a blue tint to its fur and it to its mane, and like the blue and white looks really, really good. And for the 3D sprite, it just kind of looks like they scaled, like they used like the hue tool in Photoshop and just made it more blue. At least they magic wanded the black. Because like there's no change to the color of the blue or the white in the Gen 7 and Gen 8 sprites. It's the same white, but in Gen 5 the white was partially blue and like the shading was blue. That's what I mean. The shading on Zebstrika was blue. And in Gen 7 and Gen 6 they don't really have quote unquote shading. So it's kind of lost in that sense. You know what I mean? And I think that Zebstrika's sprite in Gen 5 is a lot cooler, at least a shiny form, than a Gen 6 and 7. I would rate Zebstrika in black and white with an 8 out of 10, and in Gen 6 and 7 with a 7 out of 10. So a 7.5 out of 10 for Zebstrika, just because of the downfall of the 3D sprite, which is a common theme with shiny Pokemon, in my opinion. I've talked about this before. I think I talked about shiny Pokemon briefly in one of my episodes, and I talked about, or at least during one of the random Pokemon of the weeks, I talked about how the Gen 6 and Gen 7 sprites just kind of are lackluster sometimes. Anyway, moving on to the Smogon page for competitive Zebstrika. This is written by Uber Skitty. Thank you, Uber Skitty. It has an HP of 75, an attack of 100, a defense of 63, a special attack of 80, a special defense of 63, and a speed of 116. Zebstrika's only niche among electric types is its amazing speed tier. Well, it's in PU, by the way. Is its amazing speed tier, which allows it to outspeed almost all of the unboosted metagame, including threats such as Floatzel and Alolan Persian, and serve as a revenge killer and late-game cleaner. It also has 2 decent abilities in Sap Sipper and Lightning Rod, allowing it to switch into grass types like Victory Bell and Volt Switch users like a Manectric. Sadly, Zebstrika's special attack is very underwhelming, even with a Life Orb, and it can often be easily countered by common threats such as Lantern and Mudsdale, which often stops its Volt Switch. Due in part with its mediocre bulk, Zebstrika can be easily chipped through priority, hazards, and its own Life Orb recoil, making it fear Choice Scarf from priority users. Lastly, it still gets competition with other electric types that can provide more offensive pressure. Alolan Raichu is stronger and sports a much better move pool, at least Manectric can cripple its counters with Switcheroo. All of these factors combined make Zebstrika an extremely poor choice in the PU metagame. Aww. Poor Zebstrika. Seems like its only real niche is its speed, but I would use Zebstrika. That's sad. And I'm kind of sad now. whenever I'm reading like a Smogon page for a Pokemon and it's like all of these factors combined make Zebstrika an extremely poor choice in the PU metagame. Like, you know, I mean, it's Uber's kid, he's just telling the truth, but like, that's so sad. Anyway, Zebstrika's best recommended tier moveset is an all-out attacker, which is Thunderbolt, Volt Switch, Overheat, and Hidden Power Grass, with a Life Orb item and with either Sap Sipper or Lightning Rod, with a 4 defense, a 252 special attack, and a 252 speed, and with a Timid nature, which is plus speed and minus attack. All right, so moving on to my final thoughts about a few things. Not final thoughts. The final real thing that I want to talk about with Pokemon Sword and Shield in this episode is the story. And of course, like I said, the post game is something that I'm not going to be talking about because of I haven't gotten there yet. I don't know the post game, so I'll be doing that next week, 2 weeks from now. Sorry about that. So the story. So my biggest gripe with this story, my biggest gripe with that part of the game is there's so many cutscenes, and like Pokemon has always been pretty bad with cutscenes, at least in the 3D games, but like cutscenes, the cutscenes are so bad, especially with Hop, dude. Like it really does kind of feel like you can't go anywhere without being stopped by anyone. There's not a point in the game where you're free to go for like 30 minutes at a time without being stopped by someone. And that is probably my biggest gripe with the game in general, is just the cutscenes. They're everywhere. Oh, anyway, moving on. The story was good. It was interesting from the very beginning. The very, very beginning with the Slumbering Whale with the dog Sword or Shield dog Pokemon was extremely enticing. I was not expecting that right off the bat. And it really, really sucked me into like, wow, what is this game what is it gonna show? It sort of dwindled out towards the end. And then it got very interesting towards the end, or towards the very, very end. It dwindled out like in the beginning, or in the middle, sorry, and then it got a little bit more interesting in the end. I think the most, interesting part was, of course, the final battle with Eternatus. But like, and the whole Rose part, It came out of nowhere. Like, I get it, and like I get that's what they were going towards with the whole prophecy and Sonia's thing, looking about the darkest day and about how they saved the world for like Dynamax Pokemon, and that was what Eternatus was doing, and Chairman Rose was just trying to like, I don't know, that makes sense with the the prophecy and Eternatus and stuff, but like Rose's motivations just did not seem solid. Like, he wanted to stop something from happening 1,000 years in the future. We don't even know really what that was, like an energy crisis. Like, we don't even really know like what was going on. He just kind of was just like, hey, I want to stop this from happening 1,000 years in the future, and we have to act now or else it's going to kill us all. And it's like, okay, but like, what is it? He's like, get out of my way, I'm going to Pokemon battle you. It's like, and like the thing with Leon getting involved and trying to stop it was nice. Oleana was cool. By the way, I called it. When Charmin Rose and Oleana were released, I called they were going to be the villains. And like, I know that's not really a huge prediction. Anyone could have predicted that, but I was very, very adamant about that prediction, and I was right. And I think I deserve it. I told you so for anyone who thought otherwise. But yeah, Rose's motivation was it wasn't great. It was okay. It wasn't super interesting. That part of the story wasn't interesting. The whole thing with the sword and shield Pokemon, Zacian and Samacenta, was cool, was interesting, but the Rose part was kind of bad. The battle with Oleana was probably the coolest part of that entire sequence. And the elevator going up in Rose Tower was the most infuriating thing ever. That part could have been completely removed from the game and I would not be sad. I would be happier. That part made no sense to me. Why are we going up this elevator and battling people every like 50 floors? Like, I don't get it. Like, oh, it can be stopped from the outside. Shut up. Like, that part was so boring. I hated it. It was easy. There was no reason for it. There was absolutely no challenge. I think that putting in things like that where there's absolutely no challenge, even in the Nuzlocke, I was not scared. There was no challenge. We were battling with Hop. There was no challenge at all. That was probably the most useless part of the entire story and the entire game, and I hated it. I'm very, very adamant about how much I hate that part. It's so boring. Watch my Nuzlocke and skip to that part. I hate that part. I hate that part a lot. Anyway, I did lose a Pokemon fighting Oleana, and I was sad. Like, one of my favorite Pokemon, but I won't spoil the Nuzlocke for you. The Oleana battle was cool. That really kind of lifted my spirits at the end of that dumb elevator ride. I think that her battle was really cool. I liked her motivation personally. I liked Oleana more than I liked Rose. But overall, that whole entire sequence and that part was just a little boring. Especially, and before the elevator part, that dumb thing with the dude with the sunglasses trying to stop us with the key, and that part was so messy. I hated that part. That was so unnecessary. Like, I get he was stalling for time. I hated it. I absolutely despised that part. Like, up from the point where you get to Winden, or after after like the finals, right before the finals, or like right before the battle with like Chairman Rose, or sorry, no, like right after the semifinals, right before the finals, where you go and you fight the Macrocosmos dude who's like trying to keep the key from you in Winden, and then you go up the elevator. That whole part I wish never existed. That was so boring. I hated it. So bad. So bad. But everything leading up to that point and after that point was fine. Yeah, I mean, it was alright. The story was good. I like the story. I like the Eternatus thing. That was really cool. I like Eternatus as a Pokemon. I think I talked about Eternatus last time. I really like it. Poison Dragon, like, that's sick. It's cool place in the story too. I like it. I like what Eternatus is, and I like what they did with that. How it's sort of like where Dynamaxing comes from. I like it. I like it a lot. That was a cool part of the story. The whole thing with Zacian and Zamazenta and stopping Eternatus was good. Chairman Rose's motivation for it was questionable, but okay. Anyway, going a little bit more in depth about some of the characters. There's a few more characters I want to talk about. Hop. I really liked Hop. Hop was fun. Hop was cool. Hop wasn't bad. A lot of people think he's boring. Anyone who thinks that Hop is boring didn't listen or didn't like pay attention to what he talked about. His character arc was actually really nice. He was one of the first rivals to like actually feel sad about being beaten. Like when you beat him in the finals, if you beat him, I mean, when you beat him in the finals, he looks like he's about to cry. And that's realistic. And I liked that. He was angry and sad that he lost. He's not like, oh, well, you know what? Guess you're the champion now. Like, the rivals becoming champions. Like specifically in Sun and Moon, it was okay. I always thought that you fighting the champion felt more natural. I feel like you fighting the rival all the way up, like being a rival and then them becoming champion and then you taking that claim from them seemed a little bit unrealistic. I like that you were on the same level as Hop to the very end. And then when you beat him, you had the chance to become champion. You know what I mean? Same with Marnie. Marnie was fun. I really like Marnie's character. I like Marnie's character better than probably anyone else. And she's cute. She's adorable. Marnie was so fun. I really, really liked Marnie. I didn't finish my thought about Hop. Anyway, Hop was really good. Hop was Hop was really good. He's a very good rival. I think that Hop is one of the best rivals so far. I think that his motivation is very clear. His character development is very clear. He's a little annoying at sometimes, but like, what can you do? That's just the nature of the game and the nature of rivals like Hop, characters like Hop. How was pretty annoying, but I still love him to death. Like annoying friendly rivals. I think he's one of the best of the friendly rivals. And alternatively, I think that Bede, or Bede, however you pronounce his name, is one of the best of the nasty rivals. I think that Bede's character was really, really, really good. He hated you. And I hated him, in a rival sort of way. He wasn't the rival where it's like he was your friend and he was working against you, but he was just kind of a jerk. He literally was a jerk and he was just working against you. He was not your friend. He wanted to see you go down. He was not the kind of rival that wanted to see you go down in a friendly way. He wanted to see you go down because he didn't want you to be there. And I think that's perfect for someone like him. The whole thing with Opal towards the very end was funny, and I think it was a very good final thing to his character. How sort of a goofy, mean character got taken out by this also goofy, mean gym leader. And the final battle with him felt realistic. He stopped the whole thing, be like, hey, I'm gonna battle you one more time, and if I win or if I lose, I will resign myself as a trainer. Like, that is a big risk, and he took it. And it felt like it was deserved. It felt like that was what he was leading up to do. And the very end, with the people like, oh no, don't give up, keep going, it was very nice. It was a very good conclusion to what he was, and I'm very happy with that. Same with Marnie. I like how she also felt like, whereas Hop was the friendly rival, and Bede was the nasty rival who wanted to see you fail, Marnie felt a little bit in between. She was your friend. She started off not really your friend, and she just felt like she was there. And then towards the end, she started to feel more like your friend, but so Marnie is the rival that is your friend, but wants to see you go down because she wants to be the very best and will not let anyone get in her way. Sort of like you are. Marnie felt like more of a protagonist than anything. She was very good. She was very well written. I really liked what she was, and like I said, I like how she was the kind of thing that she wanted to see you go down, but she was rooting for you along the way, and once you won, she was rooting for you. She was a very, very good character. Speaking of Marnie, Team Yell, I don't really have much to say about Team Yell. Team Yell was not very good. They were just kind of annoying. Then they just kind of felt like they got in the way more than anything, and I think that's what they were going for, but like not in a good way. The twist was cool. I was pretty pleasantly surprised at the twist that like Team Yell is actually just peers, like people, like the gym trainers that was what they were, and they were just rooting for Marnie. I did like that, but overall they were not very good. I don't really like them. They were a little bit forgettable. I think they're probably one of the weakest teams, right beside Team Flare, in my opinion. They weren't great, but they weren't horrible, I will say. And last but not least, I'm going to talk about the gym leaders. I adore the gym leaders in this game. The gym leaders are so full of personality. They're so good. I love their designs. I love their battles. I love their trials. I love the trials. The trials are cool. Some of the trials are really cool. I especially like Kabu's with fighting Pokemon and like fighting for the Pokemon. I especially also really liked Gordy's with the sandstorm and stuff like that. That was very fun. That was very interesting. That was a very that was a very fun trial. I like that one where you couldn't see the things in the floor, and you had to feel the vibrations in your Joy-Con to like make your way through. That was cool. I like that a lot. But just the gym leaders are bursting with personality. I especially love Gordy and Milo. They're so good. They're all so good, and I like how they actually interact with you. If you haven't been able to tell, I got Sword, so I didn't get to see the Ice Gym Leader or Alistair. But if I ever have a chance to play Shield, I will tell you how I feel about them. But like all the gym leaders are bursting with personality, and I love how they actually got to interact with you. I really like their dynamic. I really, really like what they were going for with them, and I love them all. I love their personalities. It really feels like you know their personalities. As aside from some of the earlier games where they were just kind of there. They just felt like roadblocks. And in this game, they really did feel like characters. And finally, I want to take a moment to talk about the Elite Four and how much I loved that concept. I always felt like the Elite Four should be sort of like a tournament-esque sort of thing. I'm a little bit disappointed in the fact that we didn't get any Elite Four members, and that's literally just because I would have loved to see their personalities and like their designs. But I don't mind fighting the gym leaders again. I like how you kind of did just go through like you went through like a semi-Elite Four when you fought Bede and then Hop and then Marnie, and then immediately you went into the quote-unquote Elite Four when you fought the four gym leaders that win against everyone else. It felt natural. It was a very good thing. I liked it a lot, and I hope they go through with it again. Not to mention, just this goes for the gyms as well. And next episode, I'll talk about the music. But not to mention that the atmosphere of the stadiums it really helped. Like having all of these people watching you and having the music reflect that, it really helped hype up the moment. And I'm very glad that they did it in that way, because it like I said, it really hyped up the moment, and I liked that. It was very, very refreshing and very good. But yeah, I really, really adore how they did the Elite Four, and I hope that they do this sort of tournament style, fight, like kind of gauntlet. Like I guess the Elite Four is always a gauntlet, but like, fighting your rivals and then going through like a realistic tournament setting, and then finally ending with Leon. Leon's battle was also very fun. I like Leon's battle. It was a good champions battle. I think I'll talk more about his battle when I talk about his theme next episode, when I talk about the music. But it was good. No real complaints. He was a little bit of a pushover, but that's just because of the whole difficulty scaling. And that's talk for another day, really. So what do I think? What do I think now that I've talked about this? I forget. Did I give a rating for last episode? I don't remember. I think I gave the new Pokemon like a 7 or 8 out of 10. I don't remember. I will check, but I will give the story and gameplay aspect an 8 out of 10 as well. I think that it was really good. I think the mechanics are solid. I think that the wild area is solid. The characters are so solid. Everything is so good. There's just a few minor complaints, and this game almost seems like it does certain things perfectly, but a few things fail to meet my expectations. But when they do fail to meet my expectations, they really don't meet them. It's like they either do something really good or really bad. And I think that that's an interesting dynamic. It's sort of like they took a lot of risks, and I think that hails well for the development of later Pokemon games. Anyway, that is going to do it for me today. Thank you all so much for listening. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for 20 episodes of Extreme Evocast. It really, really means a lot. And I will catch you all in the next one on Christmas Day for my third and final conclusion for my Pokemon Sword and Shield review. Anyway, catch you all next time. Thank you so much for listening. See ya.